Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to our Parks Recreation Advisory Commission meeting. Before we get started, I'm going to do a roll call just to see who we have either in the room with us or meeting with us virtually. So as I call your name, if you are either here in the room or online, can you please announce yourself and say you're here once I call your name? Sandra Miller.
Present.
Linda Farmer.
Present.
Stephanie Brown. Kelvin Stallings.
Present.
Danielle Baptiste.
Present.
Tiani Hennett. George Cogdill.
Here.
Glenda Creech.
Present.
Larry Gerard. Dana Taylor. Maurice Mitchell. All right, at this point, we do not have a quorum, but in case somebody may have joined a little bit later, I'm going to go through and call the names that I did not get a here or present from to see if they've had a chance to join in. Stephanie Brown. Tiani Hennett. Larry Gerard. Dana Taylor. Maurice Mitchell. All right, so once again, we do not have a quorum at this point. This is not an official meeting, but I think our chairperson has some things she may have just wanted to discuss.
Just so we can knock it off, did you find anything out about the anti-harassment? And if we have to do that? It's been months since I've been carrying it on old business.
I know it was something that they wanted all the different committees to go through and do, but I don't think they've had a chance to load it up yet. And so that's what we're waiting on.
I think I'll just drop it off old.
Okay.
And that way maybe we'll never have to do it. What else is on there? Sorry. I know there's not much. Memorial Park marker, right? So you want to give us an update on Hermann Park Center?
I will.
And then I want to make sure we get an update on the bridge path. You know what I'm talking about, right? She emailed right before the meeting and said.
Reed Branch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so as far as Hermann Park Center, I don't know if you all have been following along with the council meetings as far as the work sessions and such, but for Hermann Park Center, the rebuilding of Hermann Park Center, we as a city, we are still looking to continue moving forward with that. Obviously, with COVID striking everything back in March, that's kind of put it on delay. This current fiscal year we're in, 2021, there is no money in the budget as far as moving forward with the new Hermann Park Center. But like I said, we are still hopeful that we will be moving forward with it. But what that means is there probably will not be any movement on it until we hit 2021, which is next year, and going with that fiscal year's budget. But again, there is no money in this current fiscal year's budget for the new Hermann Park Center.
Okay, so it was approved in 2019, but we had difficulty getting the loan, and then it wasn't carried forward, is that?
No, it was approved, the council members approved for us to move forward with getting the loan, and then getting the loan, there were several steps that we had to do.
Right.
One of them being turning in our financial records for that year. And
Yeah.
again, for those of you that may have been following our council meetings, our finance director has shared where she's kind of dealing with 3 budgets now, fiscal year 18, 19, 19, 20, and 2021. So trying to get all of that in order. And that's one of the things that we had to show them. And so even going through and finishing up that, looking, and this was being discussed again as we were going through the budget process back in March and April.
Okay.
Because at that point, COVID had hit. And so even then, there was some question as far as would we move forward with taking out that loan, because it is a loan, which means the city has to repay. And with COVID kind of taking over, and at that time, the city not knowing what our revenues are going to look like, because you're looking at property tax, you're looking at people paying water bills, that's where our revenues come from. And so that's where it was decided that it would be delayed a little bit as far as us moving forward with the project.
So is it, I'm just trying to figure out if we need like some groundswell effort to get it reapproved and prioritized, or, okay. Does anyone else have any questions about that?
This is all related to the impact of COVID.
Correct.
Yeah. But it was stalled before that, correct?
It was delayed before that because we were going through and finishing up the audit. But even, like I said, finishing up the audit, it was decided, again, not knowing what your financials are going to be.
Yeah.
It was very prudent for the city to not move forward with trying to take out the loan that they would have to be paying back this fiscal year, start paying back this fiscal year, not knowing what our revenues were going to be what our revenues were going to be going into this fiscal year.
Probably a good financial decision to
Yeah.
push it back.
I mean, and
Once
as
COVID
our
hit,
finance
yeah.
director shared with council, we as a city, we're a couple of months back as far as seeing what the revenues are. So meaning, what people spend in April, we get those receipts end of June, 1st of July. So we're a couple of months behind, and that was one of the things that she, as well as the city manager, has shared going through the budget process, which, this budget was, of course, approved back in mid-June, was around November, December, we'll probably have a good idea of where we are as a city with our revenues, because we will have gotten the last fiscal year's revenues in, as well as a couple, 2, maybe 3 months of revenues under our belt with this new fiscal year.
You said the revenue comes from property tax and,
Well, it comes from a lot of things, but the
okay.
big ones are property
Property
tax, water
I
bill.
thought you said water bills, okay. Okay,
Yes, pay city water bill, yeah.
Okay.
Because we are funded from the general fund.
Oh, okay.
And so, yes. But also, of course, the fees we charge for our programs,
sure.
fees people charge for sanitation, all of that. Now, some of it's split into different pots, but that's all of a revenue stream for the city.
All right.
All right, so the bridge,
Okay, so update with the bridge along Reedy Branch. For those of you that may have gone out there, you've seen where we've had the bridge set to the side. We had the footings poured as well as the walls poured. And so we've had a company that's been doing testing to check the strength of those two things that have been poured. The last test should actually be taking place this week for the footings, and feel pretty confident that we'll get a thumbs up from that, and then we can move forward with moving the bridge onto the wall for the Greenway. Now, that's not going to end everything. Us moving the bridge onto the walls is not, okay, the bridge is in place. We have to secure the bridge to the walls, and then we'll probably be putting some type of ramp, because it looks as if there will be some spacing between the bridge and the road, so there'll be some type of ramp they'll be putting in place to connect the bridge to the Greenway. So there's still some things that will have to be done once we move the bridge in place, but like I said, seeing the bridge out there should let people know that we are close to the end, and then once we start moving the bridge onto the walls, it is some work that has to be done as far as securing the bridge to those concrete walls.
Now, where is that?
It's on Reedy Branch Greenway, so you can get to it a couple of ways, actually several ways. One of the quickest ways I tell people is if you go to Wayne Memorial Hospital or Wayne UNC Hospital, park in the parking lot behind the hospital, you can access that piece of our Greenway. When you access that piece of our Greenway from the hospital parking lot, if you turn to the right, that's where it's going to take you back to the creek that this bridge is going to go over. Because like I said, there's a couple other ways to get there, but that's the quickest, easiest way if you're driving and parking.
And then what about the surface of the bridge?
The surface of the bridge, okay, so the bridge, it has grates on it where you walk across. That's still going to be in place. We've tested it, like, I guess, in the lab, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
Puppies and bikes?
because,
Okay.
yeah. I'm pointing to Russell because Russell has a bike.
Doesn't have a puppy. Is she on? Does she have a question? I cannot see that. Glenda, are you on? There she is.
This is Glenda Creek. I have a question, concern about the Greenway. I live on the Gloucester side, the Hamlet Acre side, and we still haven't seen anybody come in and cut the grass on the side of the Greenway. It's really getting overgrown and growing into the Greenway. I know they said last meeting that it was on your radar. Didn't know if it was going to get done anytime soon. I was on the Greenway today by the hospital, and on that side it's getting a little bit overgrown as well, and happened to bump into a copperhead snake that was kind of sitting on the side of the pavement and into the grass. And I think it would just be a good safety thing to have the grass cut back just a little bit so people can, kind of be more, have better eyesight for what's laying right beside the Greenway.
Okay, so yes, mowing the Greenway is on our radar. You are correct. When we tried to meet last time, I had shared that we had not forgotten about that section of Greenway. However, since we tried to have our last meeting, we had quite a bit of rain. It's, hard to think about us having quite a bit of rain because this past few days it's been warm and sunny and no rain. But that has been a deterrent in our staff being able to get out there and cut the grass, because one of the things that we do also do is we put down an applicator to slow the growth of that grass. And it's not cost effective to put it down when you know it's going to rain, it's going to wash away. So we've been trying to wait for some dry days to get out there and cut the grass on that side of the Greenway, as well as put the applicator down. But yes, it is on our radar. And yes, we will be getting to the rest of the Greenway because, with our staff, that is, on their list of things to do, along with, of course, cutting our parks and our facilities and, other places that they have on their list to cut.
So she also wanted to know about trash cans, because there's one on one end but not elsewhere.
I think
Yeah, it was
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, so it was interesting because they put in the post at the Gloucester Street, and they put in posts where it tees on New Hope. They put in posts right there at the hospital. And the post sat there for a few days, I'm assuming, to let the concrete cure. And so then they came back and they put in a green trash can at the Gloucester entrance. And when I walked the Greenway the next day, the posts are actually gone from the hospital entrance and the other to New Hope. So I didn't know what was happening. Like, they put the posts in, they took them out. What the status was.
Okay, I'll have to look into that to see exactly what you're talking about. In general, we do try to put, trash cans at entrance points for our different things. So that is something that we were looking into as far as putting trash cans at the entrance points, but not necessarily along the Greenway itself. It's like where the points where people go in. But I'll look into those other two places that you just talked about and see what's going on with them.
Okay, and also, is there a way to get a no motorized vehicle sign put on the Gloucester side of the Greenway, we've had issue with people riding their mopeds and their golf carts down the Greenway, and it seems to be a safety. You know, sometimes they go on those golf carts really fast. And I know there's one down by the Goldsboro Worship Center that says no motorized vehicles, but if there's an extra one they can put on this end, that would be helpful.
Okay, I'll check with our police department on that. I know they themselves have been increasing, I guess I'll say, increasing their patrol along the Greenway. And so instead of a sign saying no motorized vehicles, what a sign may say is something to the effect of no unauthorized vehicles, because that is how they will access the Greenway, as well as how our park staff get on the Greenway. When we have to do things, we have to drive on the Greenway, but we are, of course, authorized vehicles to do that.
That's a good idea.
Are there any signs in Stony Creek Park along those lines? Because I know I see quads going up and down there all the time.
Stony Creek Park, as far as the dog park side of Stony Creek Park?
The whole park area. They don't go into the dog park, but they scoot down the road and then down into the back on quads.
I have to check and see.
That's wider there, I assume, so I was just curious. You know what I like is that obviously Glenda's in the park every day. It's kind of like me with my Hermann Park pick list for so long. It's awesome that she's using it every day.
Yeah, and I spoke with Officer Artist about some of the issues, you know, and so I think he has been by. The windows are tinted, so I really can't see if it's him or not, but that has been extra patrol.
I didn't hear.
I can't. We didn't hear you. Was that something we needed to respond to, or?
Oh, no, I just mentioned that I have seen extra police coming by the Greenway.
Okay. So the only other thing in this one is Calvin still on? I saw someone drop off. And it was him, I guess.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
nope,
still-
you're still there. So we left kind of pre-COVID, we were working on the memorial marker policy and a recommendation for the city council. I'll email, if you're still interested, I'll email you and Miss Farmer. And maybe we can get together, and you said we could just kind of write a new kind of bullet of what we would like it to say and not ignore the old one, or do we need to say, this is what the old one said and make it this? Go ahead.
Kevin and I worked on the wording of the
Yep.
old and
Yeah,
sort of
and-
revised it because there were two that we meshed.
And you brought it to a meeting.
We brought it to a meeting.
And we discussed making a few
Right.
more changes, so I think that's where it stopped. And I'd like
And
to
then we
help.
started looking at other areas and the kind of markers they had. So I think
Right.
that's where we were.
Yep. And now we just got to take it that final step to get it to where we can present it to Felicia and she can bring it to city council and say, this is
Okay.
what we recommend with, you know, input from the council
Okay.
or committee, whatever we are.
So I'm going to give an answer. I don't know if it's going to answer your question, but it's how I'm understanding you're asking the question. First, let's back up. The marker memorial policy was approved by city council, you know, they've done the resolution, it's been approved. So if you're looking to change it up altogether, you have to go back and look at what was approved, because what I'm thinking will spin in my head, they're going to have to, of course, go back and either repeal some of those things they approved or make some type of amendment or adjustment. Now, that said, if it's certain things in there that you all are interested in changing, that's something where you all, as, you know, the committee, you're putting together your suggestions for us to bring to council. But like I said, ultimately, it's council's decision.
Correct.
What you all come together with I mean, it may be a great piece of work, it may be, a good, solid policy for us to go on, but if council doesn't approve it, we can't go with that. Also, remember, the reason for this particular Mark Memorial policy, because I know there were some questions that came up in previous meetings, the reason this policy came about is because people were wanting to memorialize, remember family members, friends, associates that had died, and they want to put some type of memorial of them up in our parks.
Right.
This is not for, well, I want to donate a bench, to go along the Greenway. This is not for, well, I want to change the name of Carver Heights Elementary School to something else. This was specifically for the parks within the city of Goldsboro under Parks and Recreation.
But if I want to pay for a bench to go into the dog park, and I wanted to say in memory of Mary Mueller, that's memorial policy, correct?
If you want to have in memory of,
Okay.
yes.
So if I wanted to say donated by Sandra Mueller, then we're separate.
It's completely separate.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, because I'm working on that dog park too. Go ahead. Kelvin?
He was saying in the chat that he didn't think he could unmute himself. I don't know if he can speak.
Oh, and we can't see chat from in here.
In the original, someone had to be like 71 years,
That
70
was
years old.
one of our
or
big things.
They had to
Yeah.
have lived in the city for so many years.
70, yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, so I think last meeting we went through a lot of the changes and the language that we all thought, because I know we sat there for almost 20 to 30 minutes and we were hashing out what we thought the language that needed to be changed was. And I know we left with a lot of bullet points in the meeting in which we talked about the Parker Memorial policy. So I know that it has to be submitted to council. I know we were supposed to submit recommendations to Felicia, and then it was gonna be submitted to what we wanted to do. But I think when we talked during the meeting, we talked about a breadth of different changes that we were talking about. We were talking about pricing. We were talking about the dimensions of what the markers would look like, the amount of markers that we were limiting per park, in which it would be under the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Department. I mean, we went through the whole shebang last time in terms of the Park Memorial policy. So, I mean, I have the notes. I can just submit notes via email of what we talked about during that meeting.
Okay, I have notes as well, and I believe Ms. Farmer does. That's why I was thinking if the three of us get together, we can write something up and get a final version of this committee's recommendation.
If you'll send them again, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, you want me to send it to
Yeah.
you? I can send you my notes.
Okay.
Why don't the three of us start emailing and getting this so that hopefully next month we'll have a quorum and we can present something to the rest of the committee and then to the director.
Yes. Do you want to create like a Google document or something that we can work off of?
Just send me a regular email.
No,
I mean, I can do the Google. It's fine, whichever way he sends.
okay, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Just stick to Google.
Does anyone else have anything else that they want to talk about non-quorum? So I know I emailed everyone. I did send the letter to the city council. I really just want to have a quorum. However, whatever we need to do to make that happen. I guess the only other question I have is, assuming there's no magical vaccine before November 4th or whatever date the election is, what is Jingle in the Park going to look like? See
Well,
that one coming, huh?
No, because you're bouncing all over the place when you said November 4th. I'm like,
Well, because
November 4th.
all over the news this morning was the fight about,
Okay.
there's going to be a quarantine, a vaccine.
Well, as I have said continuously, as people have asked me questions about Jingle in the Park, particularly now that we have been able to increase our outdoor gatherings to up to 50 people, we can still do a Jingle in the Park. What is going to be dependent upon is if those numbers get increased, where we can have more outside at any given time. If that's not the case, and I may have shared this with, a couple of you, because as people call and ask us, I mean, it's no secret. One of the things that staff and I are looking at is to just do time slots for people to come into the park. Some other Parks and Recreation departments are already doing it. In the past, they were doing it because they had so many people come out to their events that they had to do time slots for people to come in with, you'll have 40 people sign up to come at 5 o'clock, and they come from 5 to 5:45. Then you may have another 40 people come, sign up for the 6 o'clock slot. But that's what we're looking at now, is going to that next step of whether it's 30 minutes worth of activity they get, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, but that is very viable, and that is something that is doable. I'm not reinventing the wheel. This is already being done in other places. Now, to get down to the nitty-gritty details, no, I don't have those specifics in place yet, because again, a lot is going to be dependent upon where are we in the terms in the world of COVID when we get to that point. Could Santa Claus have a mask on that says Merry Christmas or Ho Ho Ho? Possibly.
Right.
Could Santa Claus be sitting, as you go around the fountain, be sitting there and people drive by and wave at Santa? That's a
I thought
possibility.
about drive-by.
Whereas, the Santa's not driving by, people are driving by the
People.
Santa.
Yeah.
So, like I said, so there are many different possibilities out there, but we are still looking to have a Jingle in the Park. Will it be like previous Jingle in the Parks? I can just about guarantee absolutely not. Because even with our camps that we had this year, they were not like our previous camps. So, but we still had our camps.
I hope no matter what, we do up that park bright and with colors and
Yeah.
get those lights in, because.
I am ready to accept any and all monetary donations that will go towards us getting those bright lights in.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you replace them every year, or do you just need more? I'm curious.
Depending upon what that following year looks like, and by that I mean how harsh of the elements are out there,
Okay.
as far as whether or not we need to replace things.
All right. I'll ask a couple organizations, see if they can donate.
Is there when you said monetary donations, is there an amount that you're going to need, and then that helps to ask
No,
groups?
I know we have money in our budget to put lights up in the park like we do each year. I also know there are members on this committee that didn't like the lights we put up in previous years, and are saying, why don't y'all buy these, these displays that light up like you see when you go to
Okay, that
like the
definitely is
Altel
not me.
Pavilion, things like that. And it's like, that costs money. Just one display can be anywhere $8,000-$10,000. That is money we do not have.
I'd actually
Oh,
be nervous
okay.
of those in the park anyways, because I've seen when the kids cut the strings just to the lights going over. No, when I was talking gazebo house and
Yeah.
the walkways. And
Just a little.
Yeah, like I said, those are things that we light up each year, and those are things that we continue to plan to light up each
Okay.
year.
And then, now that I'm in Hermann Park, now I'm curious, the roses, thank you for having them pulled.
No, we had to have them pulled because they got rose rosette disease. That was
They got
nothing.
what?
Rose rosette disease.
So that's what happened.
That's what happened.
I knew it wasn't something
No,
because of heat or
it wasn't that, okay, they're starting to get wilty, because in previous years, we've had this discussion ourselves, around August, especially if it's a hot year, you'll see the roses that kind of look a little peaked. They're like, huh? But then when you hit September, they'll just kind of pop back.
Right.
And so that's what, we went by there and looked at, it's about this time of year where they should be, but then over a couple of days, went out there Monday morning, and it was like, did someone pour gasoline or?
That's what,
No.
that's what I meant, like, I was like, are they putting, my comment was formaldehyde to keep, or not
No, so. but-
antifreeze to keep
yeah.
the fountain from freezing?
No, but
Okay.
because of that, I mean, and I don't know if any of you know what rose rosette disease is, so I'll just say Google it, but it is now in Wayne County. So we had to
Oh, man.
pull all the
Let my neighbor
roses.
know. So what is the plan, next spring to replant or fall?
Those roses were actually planted by one of the local nurseries because they were donated, family paid for those roses to be planted. They wanted to give something back to the community. And with the rose rosette disease taking over those roses, the nursery, from what I understand, they've actually been in contact with that family and they still want to plant something there. Probably will not be roses, but we're looking to plant something in the spring because information on rose rosette disease, they're telling you, you probably don't want to plant any roses there for at least a couple of years just because of the very real possibility any new roses you plant may become susceptible to that.
There's no cure for it, huh?
No cure for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need to get ahead of that one, because I know everyone in my neighbor has been talking about the roses, and if we don't communicate or do something for like 3 years and then say the roses are coming back or something, there's going to be,
Oh, no, it's going to be something planted there. It's just more than likely probably will not be roses.
yeah, but if there's a bunch of bushes there and
Oh, no,
we're
not,
not
no, I'm talking about
explaining
like flowers, not,
I'm-
yeah.
So
People love the roses around that fountain.
Disease, is that?
Yes, sir.
It's a disease where it's no cure for it. From what I understand, it's caused by a mite, and the mite is very, very light. It's lighter than a tick. It can be carried by air. And one of the great things that people love about the roses around the fountain was one of the things that hurt us is because you got 3 rows of roses right there close together. So it just went boop, 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 boop,
Spread.
boop, boop, and got them all at once.
I personally, I mean, maybe the Facebook page, we can put something out and say, I know you're missing the roses, this is what happened, or something. That's what I mean by get ahead of it and just explain it. Because that makes total sense when I hear it explained like that, and that's what other people need to hear. That's it for me. Danielle, you got anything? Still muted. There she is. We hear you now.
Indeed.
Yeah, do you have anything to share, or?
They're joining, bump us up to 7. How many did we need? Because she wasn't on at first.
She was.
She was.
She was? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no one extra
Thought we had
joined.
picked up
Sam,
somebody.
I don't know if there's enough readership of the
You want to get too off, I'm get too off.
roses, that may be something that she could.
Did you hear him as well?
Yeah.
Maybe get the News Argus to do a story on it or
About the roses.
something.
I don't. I haven't watched the news like the whole. I didn't watch the news for like 4 days, and then I found out about.
Hey Danielle, did you know you were? Hey Danielle, did you know you were not muted?
You don't matter. You hold it.
She does. There she goes. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, even the ag, center, maybe out at Maxwell, the agricultural agent or somebody, just so it can be explained or something.
No, that's who we reached out to when we
But
saw
I mean,
it.
for the
Yeah.
public to
Right.
know,
Yeah.
might be happening in
Yeah,
my
because
yard
when you
too.
don't know the
No.
fact,
Right.
then I might have spread a few of the rumors. I will admit it, because I didn't know what the heck was going on in our beautiful. I was still mad that they pulled
Instead of calling me, she's like,
That point,
I made Felicia so mad, she told me, pull up all those roses. We're going to show her.
I didn't, they had to go. I was happy when I saw them gone, but I'm still mad that they pulled up the big beautiful ones that
Yeah.
were forever old that had no mites
Yeah.
and put the stupid little ones in.
Well, and to answer that question, you're talking about, she's going back 3-4 years. My understanding of that was the roses had gotten too big. That's what the
beautiful.
problem was. They had gotten
They
too
were
big.
resilient. All right. Do you have anything else you need to share with us or Russell? I have not seen you in person. I would like to say congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Phenomenal. I was just perfect pick on being
Absolutely.
Yes.
the actual director. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's the end of our informal meeting.
Yes.
Yay.
All right, well, thank you all for joining in, even though we didn't have a quorum. Hopefully, we'll get the ball rolling on seeing what steps we could take to actually start moving towards having a quorum. All right, thank y'all.
How do we kill the screen?